Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and right over here is Michelle Chalfant.
Hi, Pete Wright.
And you're joining me. As we record this, you are gearing up for the Level 2 Masterclass in Nashville. I know you're very excited. It's just 2 days away.
Yes.
All right. Are you anxious?
No, I love teaching, so it's really actually fun, and it's going to be a phenomenal class. I'm very excited about that.
Very exciting. It's not too late to register for it, but we understand 2 days is a little bit tight. So that's not really what we want to talk to you about. What we want to talk to you about today, though, is if you have not registered for the Level 1 class in Delray Beach, Florida, now is the time to do it, right?
Yes. Come on, you guys. Get out of the cold. It's been freezing, Come on down to Delray Beach, Florida, February 10th and 11th. You want to learn more about self-love, living authentically, what we do with, by the way, anxiety, depression, codependency, all these things. We do a lot of guided meditations over the course of the weekend, tons of experiential work to really help you find your true self. We do a ton of healing. It's a fabulous weekend. People have loved it every single time we've done this class. So if you haven't registered yet, come on down to Delray Beach. We're doing this Level 1 Living in Your Adult Chair Level 1 class. So there you have it. You
can find all the details on the website, including location, Duncan Conference Center. You can register there. The full schedule of topics is on the website for Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a great course. Check it out, michellechalfant.com. Link in the show notes. And there you go. You're good to go. All right, Michelle, what are you talking about today? You don't even need me today.
I kind of didn't need you.
I'm like your appendix.
That's true.
I'm an inflamed appendix on your podcast today.
I went rogue a little bit, and I had to drive time down there. Yeah, I went rogue again. I was really inspired. I know we've talked, probably a couple times about anxiety, but just had with this new year, the holidays are over, and then people sometimes fall into this anxious place, or they might have lived with it for many years or even their whole life. So it's just some great ideas. How do you relieve anxiety? And I just had some really good ideas that I wanted to share today on today's show. So here you go. I did it today. I did it Michelle in the car today. Yeah.
Behind the wheel and podcasting.
Enjoy.
Enjoy. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, everybody. It's Michelle Chalfant, and it is time for another DriveTime download. I am leaving work and feeling inspired, and the information is flowing down through. So here we go. I want to talk a little bit more about anxiety. It's a hot topic for so many of us, I know. In fact, many of us I don't think even know we have anxiety. And I had a client today, and it has stuck with me all day, a few things that she had said. So I want to talk about it a little bit, because so many of us live like this. And again, either we're aware of it and we don't know what to do about it, or we're not even aware of it. So let's start out with what anxiety is. Like, what is anxiety? To me, it is not an emotion. Oftentimes we say, oh, I have anxiety. Think about this for a minute. How do you physically feel when you have anxiety? For me, I have knots in my stomach. I can't breathe well. I have shortness of breath. My chest sometimes feels like it's closing in. I have a lump in my throat. In other words, it's physical. So the definition of anxiety to me is anxiety is the physical manifestation of unfelt feelings or emotions, period. So then, what's the answer to anxiety? What's the remedy for anxiety? Think about it. It is feeling your emotions. Feel your emotions. So in other words, the emotions come first, okay? Something happens in our environment. We interpret it one way. We have an emotion about it. It creates then a physical sensation, a physical feeling in the body. So I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to be abandoned. I'm worried my kids are going to hate me. Whatever it is, I'm worried I'm going to get fired. I'm feeling like I don't matter, I feel lonely, whatever it is, if we don't want to feel that emotion and we decide to ignore that emotion is still in the body. It's still inside. So what happens is when we choose to ignore it, it doesn't go away, but we then reach for something to cover it up. So let's talk about it from the perspective of the chairs. So the child in us, the inner child, has the emotions. Remember, the inner child has the emotions. So the inner child feels, let's just use the word like I don't matter, okay? Then what happens is we move, then the adolescent comes in, which is the egoic part of us, and says, I need to stop that emotion. How do I stop that emotion? I don't know what to do with this disruption that I'm feeling in the body. Okay? So then we slide into the adolescent chair, and the adolescent part of us says, go have wine. Go have beer. Go have a joint. Go shop. Go eat. Go do this. Go do that. You name it. And we come up with all kinds of ideas on how we get rid of this really bad feeling of I don't matter. So we numb it out. We turn away from it. So my client today was telling me that she had this huge awareness over the last couple of weeks. We were off for the holidays, so I didn't see her. And she said, while she was away, she finally got it. And I've been seeing her for a while. And she says, it all came together for me. She said, I realized that, she said, I'd have anxiety and I would pull up Tinder, pull up Facebook, have a glass of wine, go for a run, go play tennis, whatever it is. She would do something to push the anxiety down, cover it up. It's like covering it up with a big blanket by doing all those things. But by the way, it's the only thing that the adolescent part of us knows to do. Remember, the adolescent part of us has the ideas come from an aspect that is no more, or I should say no more. It's an average age of about a 12-year-old. So it's like a middle school perspective that we come up with. So it's like, something feels bad. How do I make it stop in the body? Well, the last time you looked at Facebook, you felt really good. So go look at Facebook. And what she had said, which was funny, and we all know this, sometimes when you look at Facebook or when you look at any kind of social media, what happens is you feel worse when you get off because, of course, we make up stories and assumptions that everyone has a much better family or friendships than we do. So then maybe that's when you reach for alcohol, or maybe you call a friend. But it's something to numb it out, put it that way. So the remedy, though, for anxiety would be to slide into our adult chair, the healthy version of who you are. It's the age you are today. Okay? So let's say you're 35, you're 40, you're 70, it doesn't matter. That part of you then connects into the child part that's having the emotion. And you just might ask yourself, this is how you do it. You might ask yourself, what am I feeling? I've got these knots in my stomach. So even if you can't label what the emotion is, what's the physical feeling you're having? So when you think you have anxiety, it's like, okay, let me just sit quietly just for a moment. And I'm going to feel the knots in my stomach. I'm going to get curious. So these are words we use in our adult chair. I'm going to get curious. I'm going to wonder what's going on. By the way, I'm in no rush for my adult. I'm able to wait and be patient and just sit and observe what's going on in my stomach. I've got knots in my stomach. Okay. Let me just take a few deep breaths. Maybe close my eyes. Breathe. Okay. Interesting. Often what happens is when we look at or pay attention to the physical manifestation, it starts to move. So we might notice, wow, I've got these knots in my stomach and they're kind of loosening just by me paying attention. And then what do you know? It kind of moved up to my chest, but it's much less. And then we find if we pay attention to it a few more minutes, it just totally goes away. This happens every day in my office. Just by slowing down and paying attention to what's going on inside, there you go. Anxiety moves through us. But what's happening is it's the emotion that's moving through. We're instead of turning away from it, we're turning toward it. We're turning toward what's going on within us. And my client today said the most beautiful thing. It's a quote. I think I will always quote this quote to many people. She said, soothing, self-soothing, when we're making ourselves feel better, can't be outsourced. I love this. Soothing can't be outsourced. So Tinder can't help, Facebook can't help, the glass of wine won't help this anxiety. No. Turning inward is the only thing, you guys, that helps us feel better. We reach for pills. We think, oh, I have anxiety. Let me go get some Xanax. Or I have this. No, stop it. Go turn inward. Turn inward. Get curious. What the heck's going on inside of myself? Okay. Knots in my stomach, tightness in my chest. Okay, so that's part one. Part two, what else can we do? You can look at the physical sensation that's going on in the body. But the other thing is, get curious if you can, not necessary, but if you can, what emotion is there? What's going on inside? Wow, I feel, and then just wait for it. Get curious. Feel kind of abandoned today. Okay, feel abandoned. Remember what Jill Bolte Taylor said, which I love. When we sit in our emotions, they actually can pass through us in about 90 seconds. If we truly sit with them, they pass right through. Again, I see it every day. If I didn't see it every day, I would think it's kind of BS, but it's true. So sit with that emotion. Oh, I'm feeling abandoned. Okay, great. So feel abandoned. Cry it out. Journal. Journaling is a great thing we can do when we feel anxious. Journal. What is in the anxiety? What emotion? What physical sensation? What's going on inside? We want to get to know these things that are happening inside of us, physically speaking, and the emotions that are going on. The more we get in touch with these parts of us, the more they integrate. By paying attention to them, you will find they integrate, and guess what? They're gone. That's what my client said, which again, I hear all the time. It's amazing. I sat with, this is what my client had said today. I sat with my inner child, and in the midst of my anxiety, and she goes, I realized I had anxiety every day. Throughout the day, I would tune into it. She says, but while we were away on break, she said she had this anxiety, and she decided to turn inward, connected with her inner child part, and she said, I couldn't believe it. She said, it was gone. And then that was when her beautiful quote came out. Soothing cannot be outsourced. And if it is outsourced, it's temporary. As you all know, a glass of wine, a shopping trip, phone call with a friend, a TV show, a movie, it's all temporary. And then when we stop those things, guess what? That feeling's still there, and then this anxiety will come back. So we want to turn toward it. We want to get to know it. I know so many of us live with anxiety on a daily basis. I know for many years I did, and I still have anxiety. I think it's part of the human experience to have anxiety sometimes. And I don't take it lightly. And this is not something that I am just saying is an easy fix, but oftentimes I hate to tell you it is. And again, I'm speaking from experience. I have felt sometimes completely overwhelmed with this anxiety. And the last thing that I want to do is to slow down and get in touch with it. But when I do, I'm telling you guys, it is gone, like 100% gone. But it's in the slowing down, which, by the way, when we're in the adolescent chair, it's the egoic part of us. It does not want to do that. It says, if I slow down, I'll die. It doesn't understand that slowing down is actually okay. So we want to slide into the adult, and the adult says, you can slow down or not, but the adult will say, when you're ready, I'm ready to slow down. So it's kind of observes. What's happening is it's observing the adolescent, and it says, I'm here, and when you're ready, let's go ahead and slow down. So when you fully get in that adult chair, you're able to slow down and take a look at what's going on. So there's some other things we can do with anxiety is breathing. Doing some nice, slow, deep breaths. So doing a nice, slow in-breath for 4 counts, holding it for 4 counts, exhaling for 4 counts, holding it for 4 counts, inhaling for 4 counts, the box breath. So 4, 4, 4, 4. Another thing that we do that helps tremendously with anxiety is journaling. Checking in every day. As you know, we did that journaling challenge, and so many people said and reported, and I had the same experience. It's like going to daily therapy. So it's a way to express yourself without anyone even seeing. But when you write it down, you're bringing it from the ethers, you're bringing it from the emotional body, and you're bringing it into your concrete reality, into this dimension. And then when it comes through you, it's processing. So there's a healing effect that happens. So it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to do, journaling. Try journaling the next time you feel anxious, and I think you'll be really surprised. Another thing to do, again, as we talk about many times on the show, is meditation. Meditation teaches the mind, or excuse me, it teaches, well, it does teach the mind. It teaches us how to start observing our thoughts instead of buying into our thoughts. Because let's face it, oftentimes, this is where we get into trouble, you guys. We get into trouble when we give meaning to things, okay? So, for example, something happens outside of us. It's happened many times today with my clients. Let me think of a good example. I have one. A client came in today and he said, an ex-business partner of mine texted me and he said, I'm going to tell him that I don't like him and I don't want him to ever text me again. And I said, okay, why are you doing that? And he says, because he obviously thinks that we're friends and I can't stand him. And, he hurt me in business and blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay. So do you know for sure, is it a fact that he wants to reconnect with you in friendship? And he said, well, he texted me. And I said, yeah. So what? Who cares if he texted you? So this guy, his ex-business partner, texts him about every 6 months, these random things, but doesn't ask him to do anything. He texts him, updates on maybe a mutual friend or, something about their old business, but never to get together. It's very random. And we think this guy has some sort of mental illness anyway. So I said, who cares if this man that has a mental illness, and I've not diagnosed him, we don't know what his diagnosis is, but something's off. I said, who cares if he texts you every 6 months? And I said, why don't you block him on your phone? Why do you have to send him a text back that says, don't ever text me again? I said, is he being abusive? He said, no, but he wants to be my friend. I said, I see no meaning. You're putting meaning on something. You understand? So when we have like this guy had a text that came in and it was a picture of something that had to do with their business. And there was no words attached. And from that picture, my client said, well, he obviously wants to be friends with me. And I said, I don't hear that at all. And then he understood. He's like, you're right. I'm like making up a story. I'm putting meaning to the text. And I said, yeah, who cares if he texts you? So ignore it, delete it, block him. Who cares? But why waste the energy on creating some big thing like stop texting me, I hate you? And he says, yeah, okay. So when we give something meaning, and this had been bothering him for a while, but I hadn't seen him in a couple of weeks, and my client came in, he said, this has really been bothering me. And I said, the reason it's bothering you is because you put meaning to it. And he said, oh my God, I did. So quickly, he went from a place of stress to an anxiety, frankly, to boom, gone, neutral. No stress, no anxiety. He says, oh my God, when you give up meaning, you suddenly, and step out of story, anxiety's gone. I said, yeah, exactly. So when we're in our adult, we live in fact and truth. So live with fact and truth. So take examples like this guy texted my client, and is it true that he texted you? Yes. Is it true that he wants to be friends? No. I said, so what do we know that's true about this whole darn thing? And we came up with the idea that he just texted him, and that's it. We don't know why, and it doesn't even matter. So let the rest go. Cling to fact and truth. That's the adult chair. So when we give things meaning and we put story around it and build it into a story or an assumption, we create anxiety oftentimes. So another way to break anxiety is to get out of story and look at what's fact and truth. And I use this example a couple years ago with a client that had come in thinking she was going to be fired from a job, and she was actually crying. And I'd said to her, "What happened?" She says, "I'm going to be fired." I said, "How do you know?" She says, "Because there are layoffs in my company." And I said, "Did you get a notice?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, how do you know you're going to get laid off?" She says, "Because I was the last one hired." And I said, "Okay, but you don't know if you're going to get fired, do you?" And she said, "Well, I'm the last one hired, so I'm sure I will." So again, we're giving information like there are layoffs coming, meaning when we say, in story, when we say, "Hey, I'm now going to get fired." She had no proof of that. The only thing that we found that was fact and truth was that there were layoffs coming, period. So it's not to say we're just going to kick back and not take action. So what I suggested was, hey, go and look for a new job. Why don't you just send a few resumes out just in case, just to be ready? And she ended up doing that and got a much better job and never even got the layoff notice, but other people were laid off. So you never know what's actually going to happen. But you definitely want to live in fact and truth. So immediately with that client, she went from anxiety and crying when she sat in the adult chair. She said, "Oh, the only thing that's fact is that there are layoffs coming, period. But quite quickly, that adolescent part of us, that egoic part of us, wants to build a story and give everything meaning. And meaning gets us in trouble. I'm telling you, it gets us in trouble. So-and-so did this because of blah, blah, blah. We don't know. She didn't invite me to the party because of blah, 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 blah. Well, do you know that for sure? Do you know that for fact? Start asking yourself that question. What's fact and truth? Do you know that for sure? Are you 100% sure? Are you 100% sure that so-and-so did this for this reason? If you don't know that for 100%, then it is a story and you're giving something meaning that's not true. This keeps us in a peaceful place when we stay out of meaning and story and assumption. That's all adolescent chair stuff, you guys. Living in the adult chair is when we live with fact and truth and stay out of story and stay out of reaction and stay out of meaning. And this keeps us out of anxiety as well. So I think that's about it for now. I will leave you guys with that thought. But anxiety, remember, anxiety is the physical manifestation of unfelt emotions. Feel those emotions. Connect to the inner child. I did a whole podcast on how we do that. See yourself as a child. Tune in. What does that child want to tell you? Get curious about what's going on inside. The answers do not come from outside of us. The answers always come from within. You've got to turn inward. And I'm going to quote my client one more time. Soothing cannot be outsourced. So true. We try and it's temporary. But when we learn how to truly tune into ourselves, get curious, learn how to take care of ourselves when we're feeling off, and live in this adult chair, that will change your life and not only get rid of this anxiety, but also it will keep you in a peaceful state of mind and a peaceful state of living more than you could have ever imagined. So that's that. This is the conclusion of the DriveTime download. Sending all of you great love and talk to you soon.